Hello and welcome back to the text from Qasr Ibrim that we looked at the last time. So this time we're going to look at the verso side. As you can see, this is not very well readable. And we are going to do something that we haven't done in a long time, which is basically start a transcription from scratch. Adam, my colleague from Warsaw, has already filled in a few things. Last time we also read part of this last line here, phona kuriou. What is nice about this is that this phrase occurs several times in the psalm. So you can see here at the beginnings of verses 3, 4, 5, and then here at 7 and 8, and we have it in Greek here as well in line 20, phona right here. So the phi is usually quite recognizable. This is going to help us, I hope, here and there. And then we also know the beginning of the same phrase in Old Nubian. So hopefully, again, this will help us a little bit understand the versification, even though, as you can see, like this is just really, really badly preserved. So let's just jump in. I made a file that already has put in the line numbers, because otherwise it's just very difficult to keep track of where the line begins and where it ends, especially since there's just so little visual material that we can actually hold on to. So let's give it a try here. I'm going to transcribe everything in Nubian characters. So like as you see, Adam has the habit of writing everything out in Greek, but since I don't know any of the accentuations, I'm just not going to do it. So I'll just transcribe everything in the same Old Nubian font here, and then Adam will take care of the actual accentuations. But as you can see here, one of the things to look out for is also this type of abbreviation of kuriou, which you can see in line 12. What does it tentative say? So that's about here, and recognizable by the long superlinear stroke here. So that's again a visual cue for us to know more or less where we are. I'm just gonna start at random at where my eyes fall, and then we're just gonna see how far we get. So this one we had. This one is pretty clear as kuriou. One thing that actually I've looked at while putting in the numbers is that we have here line 7. We have a very clear phi here. So we can start maybe on line 7. So we have, let's say, maybe like 4 characters or something. Then we have phona, so that is most likely the beginning of verse 3. So let's also just mark this in red so that we know that this is something that we're seeing. Phi here, then this should be the omega. This looks like a nu. This is an eta, quite clear. Kuriou here, kappa epsilon with a big superlinear stroke. Also very nice, actually. That's quite readable. So let's just put that in. Let's dot the omega. Yeah, nu also. Eta, I also wouldn't wager. Kappa epsilon, I think, is quite good, and then both have a long superlinear stroke. Now, if we continue reading, so we should be reading epiton hudaton. That may very well be right here. So this looks like an epsilon. This could be a p. This could be a iota. But all very very difficult to read. The other option would be is this beginning of verse 4, but I think we're just too early on in the text. It could also be maybe No, it doesn't. It's not repeated. So if it's this, then we would expect something like an isgui, which is not legible here. I mean, the epsilon, yes, okay, fine. I mean, let's put in the epsilon. And then let's say there are 1, 2, 3, 4 letters before we hit a margin. It's unclear if this margin is complete here, so I'm just not putting anything for the moment. This margin is definitely not complete, so we should probably like start a little bit later. It appears that this really is the end, though. Epi, ton, maybe a nu. I mean, this doesn't really look. Below that, an omega. Maybe of polon. This. If that is the case, if this is lambda, lambda, omega, then the beginning of line 9, ha ha ha, is completely illegible. Okay. Is line 9 readable at all? I don't think so. It's just really disastrous. So let's just put something here, as in some characters here. Wouldn't know. Line 8, the beginning also, this is just somewhat disastrous. But then here it should be getting better. If this is polon, then this is hudaton. I mean, that could, I mean, tau omicron nu, tau omega nu. This is tau, this looks like a nu. Polo, I mean, it's just really attractive to read this here. And this is a triangular shape. For now, I'm just gonna put maybe low here. I'm just gonna mark this just maybe if it fits. Okay, so if entirety of verse 3 is Greek, then verse 4 is gonna be Old Nubian. But then first part of verse 5, yeah, Old Nubian here, verse 4, verse 5 again, Greek. So since we have line 12, Syntripsai Kurios Tas Kedrus to Libanu, that means then that phonic Kuriou should be in the line above, in line 11. Utterly indistinguishable. But what I see here is two strokes. So perhaps they split the verse into one part Old Nubian, one part Greek, in which case the verse splits here and maybe there's a chi at the beginning of line 12 that, as you can see, the margin is not preserved. You can get any foothold here. No, okay, so wait, this here is a double stroke, this is a lambda, this is clearly an engma, ngo, il ngo. So that means that's at the end of line 10. Okay, so maybe, as you can see here also, like in verse 1, things are cut in a versified in a different way. So like first part is Greek, then Old Nubian. So I am actually gonna remove this as Greek. Maybe this is actually Old Nubian here, law, which is would totally be fine. because this here at the beginning of line 10 is clearly old, at the end of line 10 is clearly Old Nubian. So we again are dealing with something at the end of the line with double slash and then eel and then Engma and then an Omicron. So that should then be if the entirety of line 12 is the second part of verse 5, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So let's say 36 characters. Then line 11, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 1, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. This could all fit on line 11. But I really feel this is a double slash here at line 11. So in other words, this then must be Old Nubian, which means that the end of line 10 is the beginning of verse 5. This we have here. Verse 5, end of line 11 is a double slash, which then means that somehow, I mean, it could still be that this all fits here, but like I don't read Kedrus here. This looks like a triangular shape here. I don't know what's going on here. And if this then is the beginning, then phonocurio and ischui, phonocurio and... I mean, it may also be cut here, and what we're seeing... There are just too many repetitions of this phonocurio. It may be also the beginning of phonocurio and megalopropeia. Top, and then here is a... No, but you would read the faux here. Okay. Unknown. Let's have a look at the top. This could be a delta here. Wouldn't know. There's a clear nu at the end of line 2. Maybe even omicron, omega nu. Yeah. Let's say 1, 2, maybe 3 characters before that, and then a whole bunch of nothing. It's line 2. Line 1, this is a triangular shape. 1, 2 distinguishable characters. Then maybe another one. Line 3. This looks like an alpha. And a double slash. Then there's maybe space for 2 characters. Or this is the beginning of... Yeah, wouldn't know. Now I'm just worried that maybe we're not counting the lines correctly. For example, if this is line 12, and then this happens on line 20, 12, 20, and 21, how can it be that verse 6 takes one, two, three, four, 6 lines? That only makes sense when this is a fully bilingual psalm, because then you would have verse 5, verse 5 in Greek, let's say then 2 lines Old Nubian, then verse 6, no, then it's too long, yeah, verse 6 2 lines Greek, verse 6 2 lines Old Nubian, verse 7 2 lines Greek, verse 7 2 lines Old Nubian, phonakurio, phonakurio. But that then also means that here this is tilin, must be, because then this Greek here of verse 1 is translated directly below as the first part of verse 1 in Old Nubian. So we can immediately check that assumption, because the last time we couldn't really clearly read it, and maybe it just simply says tilin. Take a look. Oh. So, suggestion. So, Gille. Does this say tilin? It does, because what I thought was actually the Jima is a superlinear stroke here and here. Tau, possible. Lambda, superlinear stroke. Lambda, nu, superlinear stroke. Okay, so this is actually fully bilingual. That is so nice. That helps us a lot. Fully bilingual, this was semi-bilingual. In other words, we should correct this to Tillian on line 22 of the front. I mean, obviously all of this should be dotted. Dot, dot, dot. And now the translation is also quite nice because now it's just literally huioi teu, which is exactly what we want to see. That then means that this, so we can get rid of all of this marking because everything is bilingual. The only thing that we now need to figure out is precise versification. So this is versified like this. There is, and that's it, I think, for now, that we actually know. Oh, and this is versified like this because we have found that this Il Nodin is a direct translation of this phonic curio of line 21, of line 20. So that these are translations of each other, and this is a translation of that. This is a translation of that. Okay, so fully bilingual. We no longer need to worry about which is in which language. That explains why there is so much space here. And now we have a little bit more freedom, or it's becoming even more difficult because, like, we now really need to start counting lines. Let's just mark the phrases that we have in Greek. So this has been found. The second part of verse 5 we have found. We have found a phonakuriu, but now we no longer know precisely whether it's this one or the one in verse 4 or the one in the second part of verse 4 or the beginning verse 5. So that's now what we have to figure out. And we no longer know whether this is a translation of any of these, and if so, which one. Okay. What we do know is that this line in Old Nubian is most likely a direct translation of this line here, this kaio hepa egapemenos hos huios monokeroton. And the beloved one is as a young unicorn. Alright, so this would be the lovely thing if we found the word unicorn. The word unicorn is somewhere here, which is lovely and terrifying in the sense that there's just no real likelihood that we'll ever be able to fully read it. Nevertheless, this looks like a non-ta. This looks like an epsilon. I'm just gonna enen, enon. This really looks like an epsilon to me. I'm just gonna chance it. Epsilon. Enontangus. Is there maybe the word name here? No. That's a young unicorn. This looks like ur. This does look like tongue. Okay, we already have that. This could be an omicron before that. Or, yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's not very helpful. Um, okay, back here. So if all of this are enenkate, so we found enenkate here in Greek. New verse Old Nubian. That ended. Then that means that we start our first line with enenkate tokuriorius krion again, followed possibly by the Old Nubian translation, we don't know. So maybe there is a verse break here or not. And then we have again enenkate tokurio doxon kaitimen. We simply doxon, no, we simply cannot know this. So that's then that. This alpha or delta could be the beginning of dernaso, which would be the translation of enenkate. I mean, there are many of these here, 1, 2, 3, but we cannot be sure. Line 4 ends in what looks like no, which then means that il should be here, which means that phona kuriu, all of that should already have happened here in line 3. We would nearly have to kind of space all of things out. And see how far we get. Because we need to count letters. Otherwise we have no idea. Which verse this is. Ngodin here. Here's Il Ngodin again. Yeah. Okay, that's nice. So that's just right underneath. It begins here. La 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 la. Honestly, I cannot read this, but these are 2 slashes. So okay, so that's nice. Okay, I'm gonna reconstruct labda. And I am going to read Ngodin. And then I would nearly say this is Godno with maybe I have the feeling it's something like this, like assimilated. But again here, Ngodin, no, Ngodin, no. With a simulated focus marker. Does that thing ever assimilate? Because that entire construction is a little bit. Yeah, I don't think this law ever really assimilates. It always assimilates back. Lo, 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 lo. I mean, it could be modern law, but it just sounds a bit weird. Modern law. And then also below Godin. Godin. It would just be so nice. For now, I mean, it's just a pure speculation. Oh god, here. Godin. Pom pom. And then maybe 2 more letters and then law. Okay, that also means that for sure we should at least supplement this here. Okay, that also means that we have Libanu here at the end. That means that we should have Libanon somewhere here. The Lord will break the cedars of Libanus. I'm pretty sure we don't have the word for cedar attested. No. Okay, so we don't know that. Okay, let's assume that, for example, this phonocurio and iscui and this could be epsilon nu, could be iota here, which then means that ilgoden, so ischus should be this word ho, which then means this law is quite okay. Depending on what the word attested translation of ischus is. Yeah, toccata, but that's not so that's not, we cannot, yeah. Okay. Double stroke at the end of line 11, then we have this Libanu thing going on. So new here. This is line 13. Absolutely impossible. Yeah. How many of you were knowing what we're looking at? Okay, so let's try and cut this up. So let's say that this is line 7, this is line 12. And this is line 20. To 21. Then line 13. Is this in Old Nubian? Let's say roughly 14. Would be this in Greek. 15. Would be this in Old Nubian. This is very rough approximation, but I just want to get some sense of where we are. And then 16 is going to be this in Greek. And 17. And so we still are several lines. We still need 18, 19. In other words, some of this spills over. So let's see how that would possibly work. Line 13 we know ends. Line 12 we know Libanu. Line 13, there is just really nothing we can really hold on to. And so we don't know where this ends. And we're also assuming that this is split apart, whereas it might very well be that verse 6 is whole, but considering what's happening here and what happened here, I am now assuming that it is cut the verses much more frequently between between Greek and Old Nubian. So reasoning back, '19 and 20 should be this, the Old Nubian of that. Which means that this should be somewhere around 18, spilling over into 19. Which means that this may take a little bit longer. Let's say this is 14, 15. This is 14, 15. Maybe this then is 16, 17. For example, something like this. So in other words, we should be looking for something like this somewhere in line 16, 17, 18. Monochorozone. And we have HUILS, which is probably an abbreviation. So can we find an abbreviation in line 17? Ah. Okay, so how, yes. Okay, so monokeroton, this Greek ends indeed. Okay, so we have that. This is 2 slashes. This is definitely keroton. This is definitely, and then mono here. Okay, wait, so that's nice. So you see, like, if we, if you do this, like where you kind of approximate, then that often helps actually trying, to see what you're looking for. So, keroton, like, however they spelled that. Kappa epsilon rho is fine. Tau also fine. This looks like Omicron nu. This is mu. Difficult to read, but this is a new Omicron kappa here, epsilon. So for sure these are also difficult to read. Before monokeroton should be HUILS. In other words, this should be the there we go. Epsilon sigma superlinear stroke. Okay, nice. Epsilon sigma. Once you know what you're looking for. So that we got. Can we get agapamenos? What a word. Well, nos pe agamenos. This is the epsilon. Mu me no sigma omicron agapemen nu epsilon mu here. Hellish. No, wait. Mu epsilon nu omicron sigma. But wait. No. HUILS. Ah, sorry. Hos is in between. Okay, perfect. Because it starts here with menos. That's how the line starts. Menos. What did I say? 17, 18. Ha! You see perfectly. And then menos should be hos here. I mean, very difficult to read. But traces of letters remain. Hos, menos. Okay, so that then means that the end of line 17 ends in epage. Indeed it does. Because agape, sorry. Agape epsilon clear. No, this is the P. Possibly. Kai ho. This may be ho. This may be the Kai here. Okay. Eta, fine. B, also fine. Probably abbreviated. Okay. That then means that if line 17 ends here, the word Libanon ought to be here. Ton moschon ton Libanon. Host ton moschon ton Libanon. Absolutely lost. But it also means that that line continues in Nubian. Da 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 da. Which that means wait, am I thinking this right? Yeah, so unicorn in Albanian. Why did I say Albanian? Unicorn in Old Nubian should come after this. That's here. Hyos. I mean, can we find at least a word for sun? In here? Line 19. Toad. Quite possible. Yeah. Okay, but wait, our method was really working. So, this 1617 in Old Nubian, then 1415 should contain more or less the same in Greek. So that's here. Can we see anything here that looks like Skylaptunoi Autas, Honton, Moskonton, Libanon? Absolutely. Liban. Ton. This is a new, this is a new. I guess we found this. Okay, but let's now then continue our logic. This This should be line 11. In fact, it started at the end of line 10. This then should be line 10, ending in kedrus. In other words, we expect before this you'll know to see kedrus. R, O, Y, possibly sigma. Here, 2 strokes. Omicron, Y, sigma. So I'm just going to write that. I mean, terribly to read. Okay. Okay, so that's line, let's say line 10. This goes from 10 to 11. This probably starts a little bit early at 9. Nothing to be seen here, really. Then we expect this to be cut up. Assuming that this is the versification. We found kedrus here. That goes all the way up. Kedrus. You can probably see. I mean, honestly, we can do it this and it will still be kind of okay. So if we have kedrus here, then we have maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 12, 13, 14. Let's say 14 characters. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Phona should be at the end of line 9. Here. Impossible to read. But then before that should come somewhere here the translation of 8, 9, let's say. Let's say this is fully on 9. Because that fits. Impossible to read, okay. That would be the old Nubian. And then in line 8, we would see the Greek. And that doesn't make sense because in line 8 we see clearly Old Nubian. Okay, so what does that then mean? If we read kedrus here, that's the end of the Greek. Here. if this whole thing, if Nubian starts here, this verse must be fully this verse is not cut. In other words, yes. So this is 8, 9 with okay. And this is 7, 8. Oh. In Greek. Which means that this ilnodon is the beginning of this and ischui. Which means that ilnodon should also start here, but we cannot read it. Which then means that the phonakuriou that we see here, there is probably no verse break here, is this one. Because that then fits, so which means that this should be en me. Yes, okay. Oh my god. En me. So we now found which phonakuriou it is by, oh my god, I love it when you can just do this by deduction. It's just, you know, like you just have to count. Like it's all unreadable, but now you see this is a mu, this is an epsilon. En me. There we go, and that's the end of the line. Which means that this must be megaloprepeia. Here. Which means that the word ischui must be here. Okay, but then we know that polon is here at the end of line 5. Yes. Yes, it must be, because this is the verse that comes before it. It becomes really tricky now here. But now let's continue. I just want to make this a little bit insightful for Adam, who's going to see this. So this is Greek. It's Old Nubian. Greek. Old Nubian. Because I'm gonna send this to him after this. Greek. Old Nubian. Greek. Old Nubian. Greek. Old Nubian. Greek. No, we don't need to have anything bulls with anymore. And verse 8 is simply not there. And this was verse 4. 5, it's cut like this. Okay. Now let's have a look. We can now remove also these colors. And then let's have a look. Phonocurio dia. So we have this starts at line 21. Okay. You know, these are the pleasures of this type of text, is that you really have to analyze your way through, imagine what you're going to see, and then you're going to see it. And then you're going to see that this is Polon. That, you know, that is the beauty of this type of work, is that if you see it, you panic. And I clearly panicked last time. How can I possibly make sense of this? Now we have actually established what this is going to say line by line. We can predict based on the little traces that we had to start with. The discovery that the text is fully bilingual. You can count out how far you are in the text. So let's now show what we actually have. So we have Phonocurio. So we have actually this. We actually have this. Then we have the Old Nubian part of that. This we have. And then we have, let's put a little dash here. Also here dash. We have this Kai. Okay, we have this whole sentence with the unicorn. We have at least this. We have Ketrus. We have this. We have here this. We have this entire phrase. Now let's continue. We don't know how this is going to be cut. This we don't know. But we do know that this line ends in Polon. That we do know. We also know that there's a limited amount of space here. So if we have some line up to line 5, Greek verse number 3, then we also must have Old Nubian up to, yeah, so there's not that much space. Because line 7, 8, line 7, is this a phi here? Okay, wait. Phone Kuriu here. Phone. Okay, in other words, this starts already at line 7. Because I read fo here. At least fon. Which means that Phone Kurio en Ishui, that would be here. Two slashes. So if we say we have this, at line 6, then how many characters do we have? This should be a translation of Kyrios epitohudaton. It cannot be anything else. So this must be, because otherwise there's simply no space. Because line 6 must be the Old Nubian of this. Coming before here. Then line 5 ends in this. Then line 4. This is going to be tight. If this is 21 Greek, '21, '22 Old Nubian, which we have. So again, let's reason backwards. Kudos, epi, hudaton, polon. Polon, hudaton, epi, kudos. Okay, in other words, that's 6, but this... Exactly, yeah, but that's gonna be 4, and whatever's next is 4 and 5, because like this easily fits here. So we have some space. What is there in Old Nubian? if we say this is not going to fit. In other words, is there still lines above here? This is 21 lines, the other one is 22 lines. So there must be a full line missing if each base has 22. There is a line above this, because otherwise it doesn't fit. We don't know how many lines are above this. Okay, so let's then, for example, if is Huda tone here, tone, because then this is lambda for phonakuryu. Which would mean 3 to 5. This is already in line 2, so 2 to 3. Okay, I like that. So we have Huda tone here at the end of line 2, which means that we have phonakuryu, we have at least phona here. So we would then assume that this is a lambda, il. We read tau omega nu here for Huda tone. Which means that so I should make a note for Adam. If this is to fit bilingually above line 2, I think we need to assume several lines have been cut off from the manuscript's page. Not bad at all. 1, 2, 3, maybe 5 letters at the end here. I mean, I would say maybe ngo. This ends in ngo. Okay, I think that this is a pretty good outcome. We established the text is fully bilingual. We established basically how the verses are distributed, roughly. And that has led us to read quite a bit. I think this is the end for today.